Eagles Entertainment.
Eagle Eye in the Sky is fueled by Gatorade, the official sports drink of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Everything that move, I don't care who it is. Let's go. Give me everything you got. Play fast, play hard. Let's beat these boys tonight in their house. It's party time. It's party time. Here we go. Touchdown!
You are listening to the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast. Now here's your host, Fran Duffy.
That's right, another day. And we've got a preseason game to recap today as the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, fueled by Gatorade, continues. I'm Fran Duffy, and as always, I think we've got a great show for you here on episode number 345. At the top of this week's show, we've got Chalk Talk, where I chat with both Chris McPherson and Ben Fennell about 2 different days of Eagles football. Obviously, we've got practice here Saturday morning at the NovaCare Complex, where we're going to break down what we saw today, but then also Thursday night, recap, Eagles, Steelers, preseason game 1, some of our big takeaways from that game. We'll get into all of that right here at the top of the show in Chalk Talk. Before we get there, just a quick reminder, go on to Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, leave us a rating, leave us a comment. If you've got a question, leave it, answer it. We will answer it for you right here on the show later this week on our next episode. So if you've got time, jump on. Really appreciate the support from everybody that has had the chance to leave us a question or a comment, especially those 5-star ratings. Really appreciate everybody for the support as we get closer and closer to the start of the 2021 season. That said, let's get into it. A lot to break down here with C-Mac and Ben. It's time now for Chalk Talk.
Let's get down to business. It's time for Chalk Talk.
All right, guys, let's jump right in now as I welcome in Chris McPherson and Ben Fennell. Guys, look, we have the preseason game from Thursday night to get to. But before we get there, I figured, you know what, let's at first knock out today's practice. A little bit of a lighter practice. Pads not on. The Eagles gearing up for what should be a very busy week. The New England Patriots coming to town for joint practices Monday and Tuesday. Obviously, the game on Thursday night. So, C-Mac, take us through. We had some transactions with the Eagles today on Saturday. Take us through what we saw there. And then, obviously, some injury news as well, gearing up for practice this morning.
Yeah, so deep breath. So first, let's go into the practice schedule. Originally, the team was supposed to practice Saturday and Sunday. Sunday will now be a walkthrough, and today, as you said, Fran, was a later practice. From a roster move standpoint, LaRaven Clark was activated from the physically unable to perform list. You might be like, who is LaRaven Clark? 6-year veteran, has experience playing both tackle spots, has started both tackle spots just last season with the Indianapolis Colts, so obviously very familiar with Nick Sirianni, but suffered an Achilles injury late in the season, and that's why he started. He signed late with the Eagles, signed back late in the offseason, and then started the training camp on the PUP list. So LaRaven Clark has been activated. Now the Eagles have to get to the 85-player limit by Tuesday, which is interesting with those practices coming up with the New England Patriots. So they started the process by waiving wide receiver Adrian Killens and tight end Caleb Wilson. So they have a few more players to get down to the 85-player limit. As for the on-the-field action, Nick Sirianni saying that Devontae Smith is now day-to-day with that knee injury. Very important designation there. He was previously week-to-week. Kerryon Johnson, a running back, has a knee injury that the team is still evaluating. Unfortunately, he's had knee issues in the past since he was a second-round pick a few years ago of the Detroit Lions. Isaac Seumalo, left guard, he was back. It's a full participant for the first time on Saturday. So the entire first-team offensive line was together for the first time in training camp. So great development there, especially Brandon Brooks coming off playing in the preseason opener on Thursday.
And obviously the one, quote unquote starter that's still up for grabs, left tackle, still no Andre Dillard due to his injury. So that today, Jordan Mailata in with the starters at left tackle, obviously no rotation there. So yeah, Jordan Mailata at left tackle, Isaac Seumalo at left guard, Brandon Brooks, he is back in action, obviously. So now he's at right guard. This offensive line coming together, which is looking good, obviously, after the injuries early on in camp. But outside of that, guys, nothing really of note from a depth chart standpoint that we haven't already discussed over the course of the summer. No real big changes. So with that said, let's jump into our biggest takeaways. And, like I said, a little bit of a lighter practice. Just a simple play or two or a sequence of plays. We had like 3 or 4 team periods today. No real one-on-one action to speak to. So, C-Mac, I'll come to you first. What was your big takeaway walking off the field?
I'll go with the defense. The defensive line in the final team period, it was a red zone drill, and the defensive line was just getting after it. Looking at the first team unit, Javon Hargrave had a sack, and on the very next play, Brandon Graham was credited for a sack. A quick whistle that frustrated Jalen Hurts. He chucked the ball into the turf afterwards, but the defensive line still getting after the quarterback. In fact, at the end of practice, defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon looked over to his unit and said, great day, was very emphatic about how well the defense performed as a whole on the day. So thought Jalen Hurts overall up and down on the day, but looking at the defensive line, I thought a very strong finish there, especially from them to keep that first team unit out of the end zone.
Ben, you and I were talking about the quick whistles. I know you're a fan of that. Trying to get, it's a good way to kind of coach that into Jalen Hurts about playing within the structure and trying to keep him in the pocket. Nick Sirianni talked about that pre-practice. You don't need him to live in the pocket. That's not the goal. But if you're trying to coach him into playing more within rhythm, that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, in that period particularly, coach is certainly quick on the whistle to blow the plays dead because it's such a gray area when quarterbacks want to extend the play. How long do you allow him to dance around? So a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, where they're trying to emphasize the in structure, in rhythm, on time passing game, they were a little quick on the trigger today. But that doesn't go without the positive on the other side. The defense was winning quick. Obviously, we're not touching anybody wearing a red shirt, so it's a bit of a gray area. I'm glad. Blow the play dead, give the win to the defense, and say, go line up again. Yeah, and Nick Sirianni talked about it, like I said, before the practice started during his press conference. Said, look, you don't want to be living in either extreme. It's just like if you're a football team and you only run the football, you get into certain games, you're going to need to throw it, right? And vice versa. If you only like to throw it, there are going to be certain games where you need to run it. It's the same thing when you're playing quarterback. You want to have multiple different ways to be able to defeat your opponent. For Jalen Hurts, we know he can make those plays outside of structure. We talked about just being able to see him make those plays within the rhythm of the passing game. We saw a little bit of that on Thursday night, which was a good sign. And clearly this is a good way to be able to coach that into him, especially when they're down in the red zone. And, you want those balls to be coming out of his hand really fast. Overall, my big takeaway, C-Mac, you mentioned it was kind of an up and down day. I thought he came out really sharp. I mean, he had 7-on-7. He completed each of his first four passes. The one play was a corner route to Zach Ertz for a touchdown. It was a really impressive throw and catch. On the opening team period, he hit Quez Watkins on a quick slant route that he left his hand out there. He knew that was going to the house if that was a live period. He hit him on the run, and Quez just kind of knifed through the middle of the field. He hit Travis Fulgham downfield in his next throw. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to close out the session. So overall, early on in practice, I thought it was a really sharp day for Jalen Hurts. And then that defensive line started to wreak some havoc there in the backfield. But overall, I thought Jalen was really sharp today. Yeah, beautiful throw there to Ertz for coming right at us in the corner of the end zone. And he was against Darius Slay. So that wasn't a linebacker or a safety. That was a Pro Bowl quality cornerback. Great throw and catch there. And that was a red zone 7-on-7. So while Hurts maybe struggled in one red zone period, looked pretty sharp in the other one where he looked decisive and got the ball out, threw it with great anticipation, good location. And to see a number 1 to 86 connection in the red zone, it just felt like a good go-to connection out there. Over the course of the summer, I feel like Ertz has looked good. Like he looks like Zach Ertz. I mean, he's creating separation. He's been really consistent at the catch point in practice. I know he had the tough drop the other night on third down, but we know that's not an issue for Zach Ertz over the course of his career. We know that he can catch the football. He can be reliable there, but his ability to separate, that kind of makes me look back to last year and say, that injury clearly had a pretty negative effect on him. I'm not seeing any signs of that this summer here, C-Mac.
No, not whatsoever. I think the big thing is there's so many options at the Eagles' disposal with Goddard having this strong performance, and he's come on late as well, and seeing some of the young receivers like Quez Watkins take the next step here. So certainly, Ben, going to be a lot of options here for Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts at their disposal. I just feel like both of them, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, there just aren't any headlines. And I think that leaves people kind of questioning what's going on with those two. What's going on with Ertz? Is he looking good? Is he dropping down with age? He's just showing up like the Zach Ertz we've always seen. And I think that's almost, for lack of better words, a little boring. That he just separates, he gets open, he catches the football. Yeah, a little underwhelming at the point of attack. We know, what he specializes in, but just not a whole lot of headlines with them. Pretty as expected type of practices and as expected type of performances.
Ben, what was your big takeaway? Just kind of walking off the field for practice today.
Well, I was just really excited to watch some of the energy. We're getting into the dog days of camp now, post games. Now in practice, it's hot. I just like seeing the energy out there. And right off the bat in individual sessions, go next to that offensive line. And Coach Stoutland is fired up with these guys every day in that offensive line group. It's hot. It's buggy out there. They don't want to be out there. Man, they are enthusiastic. And this is the strength of this football team. To watch just the offensive line work on their technique, to hear the coaching points from Stoutland, to watch brutal double teams from Kelsey and Brandon Brooks together, crushing poor, some backup offensive linemen out there just holding the bag, the poor kid, Ross Pierce-Bacher or something. But just to watch those double teams and the enthusiasm from Stoutland to shout out a nice little hell yeah after a rep, in practice, individual. I love that. And when you watch this group, this is the strength of the football team. They're going to rely on the offensive line. This is the lifeblood and the motor oil of this football team. Pay attention to these guys.
To follow up on that, Ben, with the energy, it's interesting because of the cadence of these practices. There's not really much downtime. Again, they're going to have a walkthrough on Sunday, and then the New England Patriots are coming to town for joint practices Monday and Tuesday, followed by their preseason game. And then they're going to follow a similar script the following week against the New York Jets. So I think Nick Sirianni doing a very good job as a first-year head coach, realizing that this is where you might get those dips and lulls in the camp schedule. What way to spice it up by having some new competition added to the mix.
I don't know about you guys. I loved having the Baltimore Ravens come a couple of summers ago for joint practices. Just gives new life to practice, new competition, new bodies, different schemes. And anytime you get outside players, outside teams, real opponents in there, now we're starting to spar. Now we're getting into a real fight. Practice will only take you so far against your own guys. Now we have live bullets in games. We have joint practices. Now things are going to dial up just a little bit as we're getting here in the middle of August.
Yeah, and as you mentioned the energy there with Jeff Stoutland as well, Ben. I would be remiss if I didn't say, go check out the Jeff Stoutland miking from practice earlier this summer. That is available on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, the Eagles mobile app, and all of the Eagles social channels as well.
He's not some soft-spoken coach out there, Fran.
No,
this is one to watch. Yeah.
Certainly, no question about it. All right, guys, let's kind of turn our focus now to last Thursday's game. We obviously have not talked about that yet here on the podcast. I did a film recap. It's called the Post-Snap Read. It's up now on PhiladelphiaEagles.com and the Eagles mobile app. I tweeted out the link on Friday morning, so you can go, or on Saturday morning rather. You can go and check that out. But let's get into some of our big takeaways from the game. C-Mac, I'll come to you first. Coming out of Thursday, big thoughts, overall thoughts, just coming out of the win or out of the game.
I love Jalen Hurts' command of the offense. And Nick Sirianni said on Saturday that going back and watching the tape, thought it was very crisp live, but watching the tape, thought Jalen Hurts' performance was even better. And we talked about earlier in this practice, they want him to get rid of the ball quickly. You don't want to have the two extremes. Well, I thought he played in good rhythm. He was within the structure of the offense, did a good job of working the tight ends over the middle, and that great anticipation throw to Dallas Goedert. Just missed the Quez Watkins touchdown, a little grabby by the defensive back. The corner there kind of messed up the timing. So it's definitely still some things to work on. But I think we're all eager to see how would this first team offense look with Jalen Hurts in his first ever preseason game. And I thought he offered a very, very good showing that showed promise, yet still some things to work on. So Jalen Hurts' command of the offense was my big takeaway from this first preseason game, Ben.
Love seeing him cut that ball loose to Quez. It may have been, just a step or two out of his reach, but just the decisiveness and the confidence to rip a vertical like that. There's some, in structure anticipatory throws like we saw to Goddard. There were some where it felt like, he maybe didn't get the ball out as fast as he could have. But like I've been kind of whispering to Fran, I don't know if he's ever going to look polished on the practice field. Excuse me. Jalen Hurts is a gamer. And it was great just to see the game atmosphere again, break the pocket, get out of structure, maybe pop the pads a little bit. You always want to see that quarterback kind of take a hit, get up, and just feel like he's back to playing football. He probably hasn't been touched in months out on the practice field. So just getting back into football shape, maybe feeling a little sore the next day, and just kind of going through the week-to-week routine now that we have games, C-Mac.
I just want to add that opening drive, Eagles take the ball on offense, get 3 points, instantly get some points on the board. And then they get a backed up situation for their second drive. They get a first down to give Aaron Sipos, the new punter, some breathing room. So again, 2 drives there for Jalen Hurts there. One with the first team offense. I know offensive line, Brandon Brooks came out after the first series. But still, I thought overall, Jalen Hurts did a great job, getting first downs and producing some yards. No third down conversions, obviously something you want to see there at some point. But again, some good building blocks from that first preseason game.
Yeah, there were certainly good examples of him being able to play within the rhythm of the play, get the ball out fast, really decisive. I thought we saw some good things. And look, you don't want to go nuts. It was 10, what did we say, 11 throws or 10 plays overall. You don't want to go crazy, but it's you'd rather see the positive performance than the opposite, right? So it's one of those things where you don't want to go nuts, but you say like, hey, this was a really good positive sign. I thought we saw some really good things there from Jalen Hurts, and even honestly from the offense as well. The second team group in the second quarter. You mentioned how the offense started fast to open the game. You get that 2-minute drive at the end with Joe Flacco, and he leads them to points as well going into the locker room. So I thought we saw some good things there in the first half, really on both sides of the ball. And I'll just jump into the defensive side. I just thought overall, we've talked all summer about the competitiveness, the culture of the defensive side, and just all the strip attempts and attacking the ball carriers and receivers. I thought that carried through to the game. How many times, Ben and I, we were watching the game together. How many times to say, a lot of white jerseys at the ball, guys rallying to the football constantly. I thought that was a really good sign. And it was guys from all 3 levels. You had linebackers flying around, defensive linemen chasing, you had DBs crashing downhill. I thought we saw some really good things from the first and second team group. Obviously, look, the third team didn't look great in the second half, things that they're going to have to improve there going into game 2 and game 3. But I think overall, the first couple of units on defense, I was pretty impressed with all 3 levels.
Yeah, and I feel for these guys because they played a marathon. The Steelers wanted to come out and run the ball, a new offensive line, Najee Harris. They ran 80 plays on offense. We ran 42 on offense. So what does that mean? Our defense was out there in the second half in the heat, first preseason game. I mean, you have guys like Sean Bradley played 60 snaps. Tui Pelotu, Teron Jackson played over 50 snaps for a preseason game where the ones probably won't be getting much action, maybe not a lot of the twos. That means the threes are out there. Yeah. And if for some reason they have long drives or maybe a turnover on offense, they got to go right back out. We don't have more bodies. You got to play. But what is that? That's an opportunity. So I love seeing the guys in the second half, particularly Fran mentioning, still rallying to the football late. And that's just preach. And it's a philosophical kind of pillar of this team, whether it's the ones, the twos, the threes, practice squad guys. Everybody must rally to the football at all times. And you really see how infectious it is, when you get to the third, fourth stringer, second half, fourth quarter, whatever it takes, those guys are rallying.
Ben, any other big takeaways from you after rewatching the game on Friday?
No, it's just great to see, some live bullets and some tackling. And you can't always see players' strengths and weaknesses on the practice field. What if you're an enforcer type of safety or a linebacker that wants to finish ball carries? You don't get to show that on the practice field. There's been some instances out here where I said, ooh, Marcus Epps just laid off that seam. He was doing the right thing on the practice field. You hit Zach Ertz down the seam in practice, you get thrown out. You crush the tight end down the seam in the game, you're getting a gold star on your helmet in the film room. So you need those live bullets to really show that toughness and physicality, and just to hear the pads popping and guys being dragged to the ground. Now we're playing football. And Fran, the only way to get in football shape is to play football. So we're getting there.
Let's go through our plays of the game. C-Mac, there's a big one that a lot of fans are talking about.
Well, I was going to say, can we take out the Quez Watkins touchdown? Okay,
well, I think that's screen. Fair.
I know you're coming to me. I know you guys dug into the tape more. You want to
C-Mac's going to take the low-hanging fruit.
That's fine. I would say, can we just take that, put that aside? We all know that was the play of the game. Quez Watkins turned on the afterburners, burned at least 3 defenders. I mean, just outstanding catch and run. It was similar to what we saw last season when he scored against the Arizona Cardinals. So it's great to see him carry over the strong performances from training camp. And this is something that we talked about, Fran, in the office earlier today, when I was just asking you any of those under the radar guys shine. And you were like, no, like the guys who have played well in camp carried it over. I mean, that's what you want to see. So the guys.
Ben, would you agree with that? That's C-Mac asked me that, and that's kind of how I saw it. Was the guys that have been making plays made plays in the game? That was kind of how I kind of saw that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think there were any surprise performances. I think, what you were getting on the practice field really did show up.
So, all right. So when I play the game, okay, go a little under the radar here.
Okay.
I really liked the mental fortitude of cornerback Michael Jaquette, who gave up the deep pass to Deontay Johnson down the right side. Very next play, Chase Claypool, who we all know what he did to the Eagles last season, gets the ball in an end around. Jaquette stays home and brings him down for a tackle for loss. Okay. In the grand scheme of the game, maybe not a big thing, but Coach Sirianni has been preaching the mental toughness out there on the football field, that short-term memory. That was it right there. Okay. Michael Jaquette battling for a roster spot here. Obviously could have been down on himself after giving up the big play along the sideline. Beautiful pitch and catch there to Deontay Johnson, but, was resilient and stayed home. So a little under the radar there, but I'll give that my play of the day outside of the obvious one to Quez Watkins.
And I saw something, Ben, when you and I were watching the game, that stood out. I was good to see Michael Jaquette come back and make that play, that tackle, after giving up the big play downfield. So C-Mac, same page. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Ben, what was your play of the game?
Well, I got to highlight some of these Jalen Hurts throws, particularly on that opening drive. And we know how much we love throwing to the tight ends in this offense. But, man, that throw to Dallas Goedert early, Fran, that was a big-time throw. And, that's over Devin Bush, first-round linebacker. That was great anticipation, great placement, great timing into tight coverage. And to get that out, within structure, that's exactly what you want to see. And then that next drive, they were backed up, hit, Zach Ertz over the middle of the field for a nice little two-man game. And, unfortunately, Ertz had that drop later on. Listen, Ertz has played a lot of football in this league. We know he's going to catch the football. What you want to see, that ball out on time and accurate from Jalen Hurts on third down. The quarterback did everything he needed on that instance. We know Zach Ertz will make those catches for us, but Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, work in the middle of the field, tight window throws, just great to see from Jalen Hurts.
One thing I want to point out real quickly on that third down throw that Ertz dropped was Jordan Howard's pass protection.
Yep.
I mean, it's just absolute thing of beauty. You could see it live. I'm watching from the press box. You could see someone out there making a play, making sure that Hurts had an extra second to get the ball to Ertz. Jordan Howard, great job in pass pro, because look, we know that the running backs are going to be very involved in the pass game. Pass protection is an underrated element here. So Jordan Howard, props for him for making that play. That one, as you said, Ben earlier, would get a gold star on the helmet.
And though it's the preseason, C-Mac, you see different strokes for different folks and all the different philosophies on how to deploy your game plan. Some defensive coordinators, let's play vanilla. Let's play safe. Let's play basic. The Steelers, oh no. Let's ramp up the blitz. And they came at Hurts and Flacco and Mullins with a variety of unique pressures and some exotic looks. This was preseason 1, but this wasn't just, Harry High School playing cover 2 every snap. The Steelers were getting after them, particularly on that third down throw. Yep. Yeah, they came up the middle and off the edge. It was a little bit of a dual read from Howard there. He was able to make the right read. Hurts stayed in and made the throw. But this wasn't just a vanilla defensive scheme coming at you in the preseason. Every defensive coordinator kind of takes it in a different philosophy. So this week was exotic blitz. Next week against Belichick, it could be basic. You don't really know, but it's just fun to figure out what defensive coordinators want to throw at you.
Really good call on your part. Real quick for me, guys. I really like seeing the pressure from that second team defensive line. I thought we saw some really good reps from T.Y. McGill inside. We saw some good reps from Milton Williams coming off the edge at left defensive end. Obviously, the two combined for a sack in that second quarter. And that was my play of the game. It was just really good to be able to see those guys come off the ball, win with power. Both guys more known for their quickness, but to see them kind of run through, play through contact, run through the inside shoulders of both the guys they were going up against, I thought that was a really good rep. Posted that clip on Twitter earlier on Friday morning. So you can go check that out. But that was my favorite play from the game. Guys, I don't think we've got anything else. We've got practice notes going up later today on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, the Eagles mobile app. You go check that out. But otherwise, we will talk to you all on Monday after the Eagles practice against the New England Patriots, the first of 2 joint practices between those two teams. So we'll have podcast Monday and Tuesday next week before the Eagles take on the Patriots for their second preseason game. Ben, C-Mac, we will talk to you Monday. Before we keep rolling with the show, I wanted to take a quick break to remind you about the Eagles' second and final open practice that is open at Lincoln Financial Field August 22nd. It's a Sunday evening. You can get down, watch the Eagles up live and in close in person. It was a great night when the Eagles had that open practice a couple Sundays ago. Now is the time. You could jump online, get tickets. They're only $10. All proceeds benefit the Eagles Autism Foundation. It's a great cause. Look, it's a great night, and it's a great opportunity to go and see this team up close in person. If you want to see Jalen Hurts, you want to see Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert on offense, obviously Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor at wide receiver. You go to the defensive side and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, Darius Slay, everybody on the defensive side. It's great to be able to see all these guys work up close in person. If you want to go down low to the field level, or you can go up high like me. Watch it from the up high in the sky. Get a sense of all the different schemes that the team is running on both sides of the football. Now is the time. Jump on, get your tickets for the Eagles' upcoming open practice Sunday, August 22nd. Be there. It's going to be a great time for fans of all ages. I know my family will be there. It's always a lot of fun. Go check out the Eagles open practice. Again, all proceeds go to the Eagles Autism Foundation. Great stuff there from both Ben and C-Mac, who you can follow on Twitter just like I do. And while you're at it, I'm at EaglesXOs. That's where I post all the podcasts I'm a part of and all of our X's and O's content that we produce here with Eagles Entertainment. You know how much I appreciate everybody that promotes this podcast on all forms of social media. That is one way to support the show. But the best way is to go into Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, leave us a rating and leave us a comment. I wanted to give a shout out today to MG Fifth Avenue, who left a 5-star review just saying how much they love the show. Not your typical podcast, not a typical sports talk discussion. Really appreciate the 5-star review. And they said they subscribed. So MG Fifth Ave, appreciate the new subscription. Thanks for joining us here on the show. Hope you look. If you got a question about the team, jump back on. Leave us a question. We will answer it here in an upcoming episode. Great stuff from him. And thank you to everybody out there for your continued support of this show and all the rest of our podcasts here with Eagles Entertainment. That being said, I think that'll do it. Another show in the books here on the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast, fueled by Gatorade. For everybody here at the NovaCare Complex, I am Fran Duffy. We'll talk to you later this week.